shades of orange and red, but still, he danced, unaware that each passing day was bringing change closer. Morning returned with a softer light than before. A thin veil of clouds drifted across the sky, dimming the sun just enough to change the mood of the meadow. The grasshopper awoke slowly, stretching his legs and blinking at the unfamiliar coolness in the air. It was still pleasant, but something subtle, had shifted. He brushed the feeling aside and picked up his violin. As always, music came easily to him. His tune danced across the meadow, lively and bright, as if determined to keep the world exactly as it had been the day before. Yet today, fewer creatures gathered to listen. A line of ants marched past him in steady formation, each carrying seeds or fragments of leaves. The grasshopper paused mid-note and watched them. There were more of them now than he remembered, many more. "Why so many today?" he called out. "Is there some kind of festival I don't know about?" His tone was playful, but beneath it was a hint of curiosity he hadn't felt before. One of the ants, the same one he had spoken to before, stepped out of line briefly. "No festival," he said. "Only preparation. The season is changing faster than you think." His eyes flicked toward the sky, then back to the path. The grasshopper followed the ant's gaze. The clouds moved steadily, covering more of the sun. A breeze swept through the meadow, cooler than before, rustling the grass in a different tone, less like a whisper, more like a warning. Still, the grasshopper forced a laugh. "You worry too much," he said. "There's still plenty of time." He resumed playing, though his music lacked the effortless confidence it once had. The ant returned to the line without another word. Together, the ants disappeared into their underground home, carrying with them the quiet certainty of those who understood what was coming. As the day went on, the grasshopper hopped through the meadow in search of his usual pleasures. But things felt different. The flowers seemed less vibrant, their petals beginning to curl inward. The buzzing of bees was less frequent. Even the birds had grown quieter. That evening, as the sun dipped behind the horizon, the grasshopper sat alone on a tall blade of grass. He played a slow melody, softer than usual. For the first time, he wondered, not loudly, not clearly, but just enough to unsettle him, whether the ant might be right. The following days brought steady change. The bright green of the meadow began to fade into softer shades of yellow. The air carried a dryness that hadn't been there before, and each gust of wind lingered a little longer. The grasshopper noticed it now, he could no longer pretend everything was the same. He tried to ignore the feeling by playing louder music. His violin sang through the field, fast and cheerful, as if trying to chase away the quiet unease growing inside him. But even his own notes sounded different to his ears, less certain, less joyful. Nearby, the ants worked tirelessly. Their movements had become faster, more urgent. No longer did they pause when passing by the grasshopper. There was no time now for conversation, no time for distraction. Curiosity finally pushed the grasshopper closer to the ant colony. He watched as ants disappeared into the ground and emerged again, over and over, each carrying food. It was an endless cycle of effort. "How much do you need?" the grasshopper called out, unable to contain himself. "Surely you've gathered enough by now." His voice carried a hint of disbelief. The ant he knew stopped briefly, though only for a moment. "Enough is not measured by today," he said. "It is measured by tomorrow, and the many days after." Then he moved on again, not waiting for a reply. The grasshopper stood silently for a moment. The words lingered in his mind longer this time. He looked around the meadow again, really looked, and saw what he had missed before. Seeds were harder to find. Leaves were thinner. Life was quietly retreating. That afternoon, he tried something new. He bent down and attempted to gather a small piece of food, a dry seed lying near the ground. It felt strange in his hands, unfamiliar and unnecessary. He stared at it for a moment, unsure what to do next. With a small shrug, he dropped it. "There's still time," he muttered to himself. "I'll start tomorrow." The thought comforted him just enough to push away his doubts, for now. As night fell, the temperature dropped sharply. The grasshopper curled up beneath a leaf, pulling it close for warmth. For the first time, he did not sleep easily. The wind whispered through the meadow, and this time, it did not sound gentle at all. Morning arrived cold and gray. The sun struggled to break through a blanket of clouds, and when it did, its warmth felt weaker than before. The grasshopper stirred from beneath his leaf, shivering slightly as he stretched his stiff legs. He picked up his violin, but his fingers hesitated. The usual excitement he felt was missing. Still, out of habit, he began to play. The melody was slower now, less lively, echoing the quiet change that had taken hold of the meadow. Few creatures came to listen. The birds were mostly gone, having flown.